Hello again, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani. Hope you're doing well on this Wednesday afternoon. And I have to say, I am very excited to talk to the man who is by my side on your screen over there. I have not talked to him in about 8 years, 7.5 years to be exact. And I will be honest, there were times I didn't know if I would ever talk to him again for a multitude of reasons. But here he is, reunited once again. Myself and the one and only Jason Miller, a.k.a. Mayhem Miller. He's back.
Yep. Great to see you, Ariel Helwani. You look happy, healthy, handsome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Did you know that it had been almost 8 years since we last did an interview?
Bro, how do you know that? Facebook memories? I did not count the days down, but I figured we'd always see each other once again, even if it is through a quarantine Skype call or, glorified one. With a better business model, it's nice to see you. 8 years is a long time, but time flies when you're having fun or when you're doing other stuff.
Yes, a lot has happened in those 8 years, but I will say during this quarantine and with everything on hiatus, I've been trying to talk to people and reconnect with people and just try to do different kind of stuff than the day-to-day MMA grind. Last week, connecting with George St. Pierre was a lot of fun, but talking to you has been something that I've wanted to do for quite some time. And a lot of fans have asked me, hey, why don't you connect with Jason again? And obviously the stars didn't align and it just didn't seem like
all it took was a global pandemic to shut the whole world down. And then Ariel and Mayhem are friends again. Woo-hoo.
You see, this is one of the positive byproducts.
Bro, drawing us together as Americans, it really should.
Okay, so just curious, where do you live now?
Oh, I'm in Orange County, California. Parts unknown, of course.
Yep.
Irvine.
Irvine, okay.
Yeah, and it's like, the richest, safest city in the entire country. So, I mean, no big deal.
And what do you do? Like, what's your day-to-day life look like?
The craziest thing about this pandemic is the uptick in my mayhemmartialarts.com traffic and the just students that I have now that the same way that we're talking right now, except instead of these gamer headphones and Spider-Man posters, it's like a heavy bag and like sweaty clothes in the corner. And I tell the guy to give me a switch left kick, and then hop over and give me a right and then a left hook. And, we do that for about an hour. And these beasts, these quarantine beasts will be released because they're just becoming something. Even though it's just this two-way mirror that I'm speaking through, I can mold some martial artists via the internet. I mean, that's what I've been doing the whole time, but now I've just distilled it down into its like purest form. And so mayhemmartialarts.com is doing pretty good in the quarantine times. I'm glad that I'm giving some young fighters like an outlet and goal to work towards while now everything's shut down.
So you have your own MMA team. Do you have an actual physical gym as well?
I do. I don't have the physical gym for the right reason, because my group is international. I got guys in Thailand, I got guys in Poland, I got guys in Japan, and I got plenty of them right here in the United States, like good old US of A, tough, like half Mexican kid. I got like heavyweight coming in when the quarantine ends. Like it's one of those things like where you're forced to adapt. And I don't think many people are really good at adapting, but I've done that my whole life. I started my MMA career as like a jiu-jitsu dude that kind of was like slugger type high school wrestling kind of mix. And then, by the end of my career, I was like Muay Thai kickboxer sort of guy where, using my clench to put knees and throw kicks. So you always have to adapt and evolve. And I feel like you're doing it. I feel like your producers are doing it. I feel like there's a lot of people that during this, which admittedly terrible, it's a terrible time for everybody, but I feel like there's a big glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel, and we're all running there.
Mm-hmm. And so as far as, okay, so that's what you're doing. That's your day job, so to speak. You're still heavily involved in MMA. Any pending legal issues, or is that all behind you?
No. Look, I left that life behind. I went like full gangster for a while and didn't serve me. It didn't serve me well. So, I made the adjustment. I adapted. I changed. I like found healthier ways to, because when I had to stop fighting, then that was like a giant hole. I had the injury, and then suddenly there was this void, and I heard about it all the time from guys. I didn't believe it. But it happened, and I went to a dark place. Now, not me and John Law get along for the most part. Like we're just friendly acquaintances these days, not bitter enemies.
Who's John Law? You say?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't talking about my next opponent, Ariel Helwani.
No.
I know you're used to jumping on you're gonna make this fight. You're gonna make this match happen. I'm thinking about it. I already have a fight island. It's just true. My friends in Thailand have a place called Koh Phi Phi. You may have known it from where like Leonardo DiCaprio shot some famous movie. And it's just a beautiful, oh man. Look, when quarantine shuts down, Ariel Helwani, I got to get you out to Koh Phi Phi. It's beautiful.
Okay. It's amazing now that, I've been doing this now, covering MMA professionally for 14 years. I've noticed, especially in the last couple of years, that unfortunately, for whatever reason, and I don't know if there's a good reason as to why this is, but I certainly think that this is a thing. The newer fans, the fans of today, don't know about the greats of yesteryear. You talk to the legends, Chuck Liddell, Vitor Belfort, and they don't know who these people are. And I would put you in that category as well. You're one of the legends of the sport. Your career started in 1998. I'm going to give a bit of a history lesson here, a very quick one. I don't want to diminish your accomplishments, but just for those that don't know.
Reading him off a list sounds a little weird, but you know what? You're Ariel Helwani.
I'm not looking. Yeah. I'm not reading anything right now. I'm looking straight into my phone.
Straight off the dome.
Yeah, 1998. You started your career. You started 5-0. Your first professional loss was against a young man named Chael Sonnen. Could you believe that?
I just didn't know how to wrestle. Like that's the thing. I was like knew some Muay Thai, and this guy just double legged me into infinity. Like I just was like, all right, and I just kept getting taken down and just kept getting back up and going, all right, I'm gonna kick his head off this time. All right, now I'm gonna triangle choke him. All right, now and then the time ran out, and I had him in the craziest like Eddie Bravo, like shin choke across his neck. And I asked him about it, and he told me, yeah, you were close, because he was gurgling. It was an amazing fight. Like those fights in my young days, oh my goodness, and I had never ran into a guy with awesome wrestling like Chael Sonnen. Like I had only run into like high school wrestler type dude who knew some jiu-jitsu or maybe he's doing old school karate. Even back then, we had guys who just come straight at karate, like learn to wrestle for 45 minutes and then go fight. And they were like hard kickers, hard punchers, but you just had to like learn to avoid it and hit a single leg, hit a double. And or if you get end up on the bottom, hit him with the triangle choke. And that was the magic recipe. But as you progress in the game, you'll run into an expert wrestler who maybe doesn't have as much kickboxing as you, but like can do a takedown over and over and over again. And that was a crazy wake up call to a young Jason Miller, not yet Mayhem.
Right. And the UFC is founded in 93. So you're talking about a guy who started in 98. I mean, you're there on the ground floor. Despite the loss, you're rolling. You end up at SuperBrawl in Hawaii. You win the welterweight title there. Now you're becoming one of the big names in the sport. You make it to the UFC. And at the time, you only have one fight in the UFC against a young man named George St. Pierre. You lose that fight via decision, but you don't stick around for another fight. Why was it only one fight? I don't know if I've ever asked you this.
It's just like boiled down to like money and respect, mostly respect. Like, the money to be made overseas was considerable at the time, like very appealing, for a young guy. And I had just got done making that weight, which is like the hardest thing I ever done. And I figured, hey, they're going to give me a title shot in SuperBrawl, which at the time was like the hot organization because TV wasn't really a factor. So there was like this crazy cult of internet before YouTube, like trading tapes of SuperBrawl. And that was like the hardcore MMA fan in those days, Reddit group. These guys would just do that. And so to me, the allure of going to a beautiful island, right? Fighting at a comfortable weight after I won the welterweight title, and the communication between the promoter, myself, and the management, all that like created a perfect storm for me to head, west and eventually to Japan.
So you go back to Hawaii after that. You win the Icon Sport title. You have great fights against the likes of Robbie Lawler. You beat him, Frank Trigg. You start dabbling in Japan. You also fight Tim Kennedy at HGNet Fights.
I fought him twice. Maybe 3 times. I feel like I fight him all the time. I feel like I'm still fighting him because my dad always sends me his tweets.
For me, though,
those Army guys stick together. I'm telling you.
That's right. Yeah. It all changes for you, in my opinion, in 2009. That's when Mayhem really starts to become a big name because you signed with Strikeforce, but you also start hosting Bully Beatdown on MTV. That last 3 seasons, very popular show where you get bullies to fight professional fighters in cage matches. It was really fun stuff. And you fight for the vacant middleweight title against Jake Shields. You almost beat him. You almost submitted him on CBS. That was so close,
right? Don't count. Close don't count.
15 seconds more, and you're the middleweight champion of Strikeforce, right?
It's funny because like my losses get brought up, and the reality is, yeah, I lost, but like to the best dudes in the world, like the strongest grappler in the world, like my loss, and like what eked out a decision, right? Like it's like it's the same thing I coach the guys with, and a lot of people just have it naturally, but I think you can also build it like a mentality that you're always like just one move away from winning. And if you can keep that positivity going, then eventually you win, And I had a lot of great wins in my career, and it's because I learned so much from every loss.
And so you have a nice run in Strikeforce. Like I said, also in Japan as well, Dream, the Jacare fights. Ooh, I mean, yeah. I can't stress this enough. When you were in your prime, 2009, 2010, 2011, the walkouts, the interviews, the persona, the hair, the MTV show, you're one of the guys that made me fall in love with MMA to the point where I want to cover this sport.
We're on the cusp, though, Ariel, like of a different revolution. Like there's like a new thing kind of happening. Since we all have a...
I don't need to interrupt, but I want to stick with 2009, and we'll get to what's happening now. We'll get because you were on fire, despite wins and losses here and there. And I remember first running into you in Las Vegas prior to UFC 98. I was not credentialed, but I saw Mayhem Miller of Dream walking down, going to the UFC 98 weigh-ins, which are infamous because Tito Ortiz came out wearing the T-shirt about Dana White, and I asked you, who are you fighting next in Dream? And you're like, where's your press pass? What do you want, the Scoop McGillicuddy? You remember that experience?
I like hearing you say Scoop McGillicuddy. There's something great about it. Yeah.
Because I
remember that like vividly, Ariel Helwani, because I told you, because I had already tried to like produce television from the inside of those casinos, and no. And I was cracking up because I was like, look at this bold, aggressive young journalism student. Like he's just coming right up to me and talking to me, because like back then, like, I don't know, man. Yeah, in my prime, oh my goodness, I was just an animal. Like I like didn't care what anyone had to say, really. I would really listen to people, and I still don't. But
you get back to the UFC in 2011. You signed to coach.
Now that was a weird deal. Because of the television expertise, the UFC wanted me back over there to help them with the Ultimate Fighter. Yes. Yep. And so Season we did 14. That, and it was great. Yeah, and I lost the bad one, Bisping, at the end of that season. But I like won, like pretty much in my head, I won my ability to be a real coach award. I was like, oh my God, I can do this. Like, I thought it would be hard because I was so bad at waiting tables when I was a kid. Like I tried one time and I was, and you think it'd be like that, but it's completely different because each fighter has his own needs, and you can, you can focus and tailor that to like create a beautiful work of art. This guy can now do a high kick that well, and like, step back and defend a takedown. Like, he didn't know any of this just a little while ago, and now he's busting moves. It's very fulfilling.
And so that's an entertaining season. In fact, your main event fight against Michael Bisping is on Spike TV. It airs on Spike TV. In fact, it's the last main event ever, live main event ever, to air on Spike TV, because then they moved over to Fox. Unfortunately, and it got 3 million viewers, which is absurd for cable television. Then we move over to the Fox, and you get one more fight in the UFC 146 against CB Dollaway. Prior to that fight, you said if you lose to CB, you will retire. And after the fight, you lose. Dana White says that he has released you because of a confrontation with Bert Watson in the back.
Nah, well, yeah, I didn't do what Bert said. Yeah, that's for sure. If you want to call that a confrontation. But right before my entrance, Bert stops me and tells me that my mask doesn't look right and that I got to take it off. And I said, why are you hassling me right now, Bert Watson? And then I realized, because somebody's in his ear buzzing him, the man was telling him what to do.
Bert Watson, for those that don't know, was the man who ran the backstage area for the UFC, very instrumental in those days. And I remember
now,
talking
does he do Bellator now? Because, I mean, this guy is he doesn't any.
No, he does CFFC, and he has his own small promotion, but he never rebounded with a big promotion.
Well, I just feel like he's a very strong talent. Like, it's a very specific talent that you have to do Bert Watson's yelling in the back job. You have to have like a booming voice, very friendly demeanor, and because you're in there with like the toughest dudes in the world, maybe the meanest, some of them. So it takes a real showman like Bert Watson to control the backstage like that.
So no hard feelings towards him?
No, not at all. No.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that. I remember a couple of days after that fight, you came on my show. At the time, it was called the MMA Hour, and you were very somber, and you said that you were going to retire. And it was really around then. Now we're talking about the summer of 2012, where I feel like things started to change for you. You started to go down a different kind of path, and you just alluded to that, with the career being over, you don't know what to do. And that was the first time that you kind of found yourself in legal trouble, right? You were found in that church.
Well, it's one of those weird things where I'd spent my life being a monk and, cutting weight and getting ready to fight. Spent all my 20s. While all the regular people were going to college and experimenting. And yeah, I went to college real late.
Mm-hmm. What happened that day in the church?
I was delirious, to be honest. I didn't sleep for days. And then I just woke up in what I thought was my house. Wasn't my house. And I get plastered all over the damn headlines. You know what I'm saying? Naked in the church. Oh, brutal. But it's 10 years ago, it feels like. Maybe 100. I've changed so drastically since that time. But I was living a life where I just took the governor off. Just full on, try to see what kind of crazy stories that I could get into all the time. And look, we all want to have amazing, crazy stories in our life, at least a couple. But I just was collecting them day by day, and just nothing was fun to me. So I just kept pushing harder to have more fun. And I advise against it. There's a balance in life. And I guess it just took a lot of those problems to set me back balanced.
When you say you were delirious, that you didn't sleep, why? What were you doing?
I ran for 28 miles. I was sad. I never trained for a marathon, but I figured I could do it. And my body was in good shape at the time, so I just did it. Another big mistake, but I felt like I had to do it. Felt like I put my mind on something. I can truck this, nearly 30 miles. I could do it. I could run this down PCH.
Why were you sad?
Sad? Oh man, I was injured. The insurance company said they're not going to pay for nothing. I said, all right, well, fine. I got to sell everything in my life. Now what? Because I don't want to go into medical debt for the rest of my life. So, all right, here. What else? My management's gone. My friends are gone. It's the reality of the situation, you know. Like, of course, you're going to be sad. It's just the reality of the situation. And you know, if you walked in my shoes, I guess you'd understand a little bit more. But you know, we're all limited by our own perspectives.
No, I understand. I mean, the story of the fighter who, you know, comes to the realization that the career is over is a story that, you know, is often told, right?
Well,
And I
not just that
sympathize.
your career's over, but also that you're on the hook for it. So it's your fault. There you go. But like, wait a minute, I thought we're insured. Nope, we're not. Not for you.
So that happens in August, and in October, you're a guest on my show, the MMA Hour in studio. And
now this is a beautiful performance.
well, so for those that don't know, you're a guest to promote the show, the movie, excuse me. Here Comes the Boom, starring Kevin James. You're a character in the film.
The severely underrated Here Comes the Boom.
Yes, it was a fun film.
Which should have a 9.5 on Rotten Tomatoes. No, IMDb. Okay, it really should. It should be. I mean, it's better than Mall Cop 1, Mall Cop 2. It's better than the Mall Cop Part 3 that they're probably going to come out with any day now. It's Kevin James' best work, most emotional, and MMA.
It's a fun one. But
give me my Oscar.
You're a character, Lucky Patrick, in that film, and in the interview, you're playing Lucky Patrick, and it gets, you know, a little heated, and you throw the camera and you storm out.
Just couldn't understand Lucky Patrick's like internal rage. Like you just couldn't disseminate it. Usually, you're so good about being the Barbara Walters of MMA and really getting guys to open up like a flower, but you know, here's the thing too, is that Lucky Patrick never really made it as a fighter. You know what I mean? He made it as a tough guy on the streets, you know? So he was just like a, you know, low-level MMA fighter. Maybe that's why you couldn't peel him back like an onion.
But in all honesty, were you 100% okay during that interview?
No, I was not okay. My whole life was in shambles, right? And I didn't want to talk to you. I wanted you to talk to Lucky Patrick, and you did.
Okay, so that's why you came as the character.
I mean, there was nothing for Jason Miller to talk about.
Right.
What? How's retirement? Get out of here. You know, that's a simple question. That's like day one question. That's not an Ariel Helwani level question.
Were you intoxicated?
Not really. Maybe like the days previous, but I try to, like, you know what I mean, keep it real with you. You know, keep a clear head while I was doing that crazy stunt. Like I knew it was going to get weird. I didn't know how weird it was going to get. It just got to the next level. But on the way out of your studio, as I stormed out angrily, I gave a wink to like the cutest black lady, like who's in the office over there. And like everybody was congregated around because they saw, and I just like.
They were mortified.
One lady knew that I was just around and not mentally ill, but the rest of you guys, you know, thought otherwise. I understand.
It became huge news. I mean, till this day, people ask me about that interview constantly. I've done thousands of interviews now, and I get asked about the Mayhem Lucky Patrick interview. And then we met up again exactly a week later in Central Park, and we had a long talk. And you know, that's the last time we spoke prior to today.
That's crazy.
That is wild, right? But here's the thing. Even in that interview where we sort of peeled back the curtain and we talked about the incident, honestly, I didn't feel like you were 100% okay.
I was mad. I was so mad.
Why?
I mean, the aforementioned, you know, failure to pay medical bill was kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, I was expressing myself. Albeit a somewhat, you know, not helpful to myself way, but I felt like I needed to say something, and I said it. I've always been that way, and you know, I try to filter out, you know, the not fit for consumption television, right? But it's hard. I speak from the heart.
Did you ever get that cleared up, that medical bill?
Yeah, I paid it.
How much was it? Okay.
Well, it depends on who you ask. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Somewhere between what, $250,000, and then like probably what it really costs, like, 100,000.
Okay. And so
Like,
we think,
who knows with the insurance company writing the number.
right. So I remember saying goodbye to you that day, and I remember you were eating a yogurt. I remember a lot of things about that, and like it fell on the ground. I'm a germaphobe, so as you can probably imagine, during this pandemic, I'm not exactly in the best of spirits.
Yeah.
You dropped like your fork on the ground, and you picked it up, and you kept eating it. You were not concerned about that, and I was like, I can't believe he's still eating with the same fork.
What do you mean? During the interview, I snatched somebody's water and drank it.
Yes.
It was a random. Yeah, I was really like feeling unafraid of virus and cold and flu. Like, nah, I felt pretty invincible.
So then 2013 to 2019, I mean, a lot has changed for you since then. Arrested multiple times. You had the incident in, I believe, 2014 or 15, where you're live tweeting a police standoff for 4 hours. And I don't want to go through every single moment.
No, I mean, we'll be here all day, man. This thing will run over 2 hours. The reality is that I was feuding with the police.
Why? You don't want to talk about it?
I mean, so many reasons. Like, it just became personal. Like, a couple of incidents here and there, and they have so much resources, they can just leave somebody outside a house all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, my whole life has been a fight. Like, I'm always, I always need somebody to defeat, and I picked them as an opponent, and that was a terrible mistake. And the reality is that you can't do that, but at the time made sense. I felt like they besmirched me, and I was challenging authority. Now I understand now the importance of it, but at the time I didn't.
You also had multiple domestic violence incidents with the same woman.
Well, I mean, not really. Like, multiple different women. Like, I've done a lot of therapy, and I've taken a lot of classes, and something I've learned is that even though you're not doing anything wrong, you can be the person to incite and escalate, and it doesn't help you in any way. But if you're tied to conflict, like you thrive on conflict, you can escalate these family situations to a point where somebody loses their temper and can't calm down. And then what do you do in this situation? Well, I've learned that you can only control your actions. So, you remove yourself in the situation, or you take a time out, you got to learn to coexist. And I feel like this is a lesson that everybody's learning right now with COVID, that we all need to be responsible partners and friends.
Jason, I don't want to interrupt you, but I don't know if when you're moving the microphone, it's it's making the audio distorted.
I'm sorry about that.
Are you?
But like I was saying, I was just wrapping that up. I was just trying to fix this microphone so you guys could hear me.
It's still a little bit funky. I don't know why. It wasn't funky before. Yeah.
Oh man, I like funky.
We're getting good audio there. Let's see now.
Funky.
Okay, maybe that's better. And I'm sorry for interrupting you there.
That's crazy. Yeah. No, here's the thing: is that I've learned so much about the dynamics of relationships in the past year that, man, I don't know why I would. I got in trouble for headlocking my sister. Like, why? Why do I have to escalate like a tense moment. Why? What is it about me? What is it inside me that makes me want to react to conflict with more conflict? And ever since I've learned that, like that, my default setting is to needle and to like have a comeback for everything is juvenile. It's ridiculous. I don't have to do that all the time. I don't have to fall back into my old fighting ways where, oh, you're gonna say something about me? I'm coming right back at you. Ain't that right, Nick Diaz? It's like this, I just continued that. I carried over that skill into another realm of my life, and it took me, it was part of a larger problem, that I had just about life in general. And time heals all wounds, I guess, because I feel like the best version of me that I can be.
When you were involved in those incidents, I would imagine, because I know that a couple of times you were found with drugs and things of that nature. Were you heavily under the influence?
I was never found with drugs, unless you call marijuana a drug.
Marijuana, opioids?
I did dabble in that, and it really was a catastrophe. I feel all those people with the opioid epidemic. I was delirious when I took that stuff. Just couldn't think straight, couldn't get it together. Like it was just, there's something about my biology where I'll just like, I can keep moving forever, but oh man, like your brain is foggy. You wake up in a cell, like that's the only thing they have for you if you're having a problem like that, and in many places. I would just recommend anybody that like goes into that, like, does it with a wary head, because you can get delirious. It's true.
Were you taking that stuff because your body was in pain because of the fight career?
It was one of those things where, you know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? They prescribed them because I was damaged. I was hurt. That's the reality of a fighting career, is that if you do it long enough, you're going to end up with some kind of wear and tear. And and their heart was in the right place, but it just spun me off into a bad one. So I really, my heart goes out to anybody dealing with that or their family dealing with that. It's a real thing. It's a real problem, and I understand why people having problems with them.
I thought what you said about having an opponent was something that you were so used to, and now the cops were your opponent. What about the idea of, like, the music stops, right? There are no more crowds. You were such a popular fighter. Did you miss that, like, getting involved in these incidents, like live tweeting the stand-up? Did you like that attention? It was the closest thing that you could get back to fighting in a sold-out arena?
In a way, but like you're following my logic like too far. Like you're like, okay. I didn't think it that far deep through, but I was passionate about like the use of force that was wrong, and I felt a little political bent to the whole thing, because I feel like I don't want America to be a military dictatorship, and I don't want it to be like some kind of corporate warscape, where each individual, militia, the Walmart militia takes out the Starbucks militia. I don't want that to happen in America. I don't think that's what the founding fathers had in mind. And I don't think that it's fair to the populace. So I guess I was making a misinformed statement about it.
I remember seeing you were featured on HBO's Real Sports. They had a segment on.
For which I won an Emmy?
No, well, they had a segment about domestic violence in MMA. And Jason, I have to be honest, like the whole
editing monster ruined my life worse. I know. They edited it to make it look like I beat out of Christy Mack. That is not true.
No, you did not. That was War Machine, John Copenhaver. But it did seem very tense with the reporter, but also the surroundings in which the interview happened. It seemed like you guys where was that? And it was scary to see you in that setting, because it seemed like you weren't living a very healthy life.
No, I just wanted to show the world how scary my life was. Like that was the reality of my life at that time. scary, weird girls like hiding in the bushes, like just negative. Like I did everything wrong to see how to do stuff right. I always learn the hard way. If you're gonna be dumb, you got to be tough.
What was, in your opinion, like what was the lowest point? What was rock bottom?
This is it right here, bud. I mean,
Come on.
what am I doing? Coming back groveling to Ariel Helwani. I'm sorry that I knocked your toys over 20 years ago.
No, it's not that.
This is the lowest point.
Can't be. This is really the lowest
Maybe
point.
this is my highest point. You ever think about that? Maybe
Yeah.
after this is all downhill, bro. I'm just laying in the gutter waiting for somebody to kick me down.
Do you remember how many times you were arrested?
I don't know, like 1,000.
And you went to jails for several
I was
times,
in
right?
that, bro. I was in like the famous section of the jail, like with the
What does that
dude who
mean?
cut somebody's wiener off, another like schizophrenic that like murdered his whole family, another guy who shot everybody at the party, another guy who murdered his wife because she's cheating on him, another guy who like shot a little kid because he's a gang member and he had a shootout with another guy.
While you're in jail, do they know who you are?
Pretty horrible. Yeah, everybody knows me. Yeah, I was running workouts in there. Like it's just, I just adapted.
What was it like? Like, what was life like for you there?
Like a box, small box. You just like Icebox that you sit in. Makes a damn annoying sound all day. The lights never turn off. Okay, they wake you up every 30 minutes to bang on the door, check if you're alive. I don't know how Jeffrey Epstein got away with it.
And how long? The longest time, was it a year that you spent there?
Yeah, more. Yeah,
2 years?
less, but in there.
Okay. Was there ever a point where you felt like you couldn't take it anymore?
No,
You knew eventually you'd get out.
no. But I knew that like today is a new day. Time to do something. I was very disciplined for 20 years of my fighting career. I think that I can be disciplined enough to pretend that I'm on a spaceship flying through Earth, flying across the galaxy and do push-ups, pull-ups, squats, shadow box for 30 minutes, watch Wendy Williams' stupid conversations. You know what I mean? Every once in a while, I'll get lucky, watch Ellen do a little dance, and then go run on the yard, for an hour straight. Yeah, it was like Spartan lifestyle, read books. I read like 500 some odd books in there for sure. And some of them weren't even comic books.
And did you live alone?
Yeah. I was like in segregation, like administrative segregation where you have to be like in a cell by yourself, which I mean, I guess that's like the Hilton.
What was the food like?
Yeah, it was food. I mean, sort of. It wasn't food in what you would call food or any like civilized human, but they did all right. You know what I mean? Nice Thanksgiving, nice Christmas. The New Year's cookies were off the chain.
So the last time you were released from jail was in 2019, was last year.
Yeah.
Was it July or September of 2019?
Yes, July, yeah.
July. And then you emerged on social media in September. You had not posted anything for around 2 years. And the message was that was the first time where I was like, wow, you're starting to sound like the old Jason Miller that I met many moons ago. I just want to read one quick thing that you wrote there because it stuck with me. You said, I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize to everyone that I negatively affected during this dark time, including friends, family, law enforcement, the cat.
I was talking about you.
Whom I've abandoned for far too long. I'm sorry. Are you apologetic? Like, do you?
Yeah, bro. Listen, I was kind of a black eye in the sport for a while because like I just turned it up so extreme. Like I just went to another place with all my thoughts and actions. And man, that's no way to live. Like there's no way to keep friends. There's no way to like build an empire. Like, yeah, do that if you're just spitting hot fire at everybody all the time, and just going outside of humankind to accomplish something. There's no way to do that. The new Mayhem, he's a likable bastard.
What was the turning point?
Well, I sat in that box for a long time. And I'll say this is that I finally had some like post incarceration treatment. You know what I mean? Like a therapy and like to figure out why we went this dark path before. And, since I done that, I feel like a new person. And it's funny that you read that, because even from that time, because I was really traumatized, just the reality is that you come out of a box for a year and you're, different now. Like, and the world has moved on in this year, and it's like overwhelming to adapt to. And I see why recidivism rates are so high, because you have no guidance usually. And finally, I was lucky enough to get a good judge. And the judge figured out that, hey, look, this guy's having a problem. He needs some type of treatment when he gets out of here. But, he made me sit there for a long time. And once you reassess and you have this quiet to do it in, moments of quiet, you like reassess the complete way that you've looked at the world. I don't recommend it for anybody, but if you're brave enough, you could do it.
Did someone in particular help you? Like, were you assigned a guidance counselor or a psychiatrist?
Actually, the therapist there was very like
in jail.
She's pretty educated, like very intelligent person. Like, you could tell that like whatever field manual she's reading from. And on top of that, I suppose that the other people that she talked to throughout the day, oh man, they have a whole different jacket. They have a whole different, in my section, they have a whole different list of crimes, serious ones. So I think that was part of the reason it was easier for her to get through to me.
When you were in your prime, were you taking any kind of medication? Like, did you know that you had any kind of mental illness?
Yeah, well, of course I got ADHD. Come on. How many times have I spun off? But yeah, the testing, you weren't allowed to take anything for that. So, I went without, because if it's not certified by the drug testing agency, I would just like be delirious sometimes, like, like not all the way focused.
Are you taking anything for that now?
Yeah. So they got me on a regular med schedule, and like, this is part of my life.
Do you feel better you taking it?
Yeah, definitely. I like feel more lucid, like clear, and can focus better for sure. That's science.
Are you diligent about taking the medication?
Yeah. That's the common thing I hear, is that people don't. They go off, and then I know this. I feel like anybody who's had any touch of mental anything, can identify.
Did you feel at any point like MMA turned on you? Like, did you feel like you gave MMA a lot?
For sure.
Resentment towards it?
For sure, of course. Yeah, I was popped off at everybody, but because look, everybody understands now that I'm a legend in the sport, but at the time I was just some angry guy who just lost the fight, and the crowd like just sees what your latest fight is. They just only remember what just happened recently. So they turn on me. I said, no, I'm turning on you. And that's why I gave the jerk interview to the HBO guy, because I was mad about the whole situation, that I could just get dumped off like that. That's that's like a hard reality to learn, and yeah, do I regret some of it? Oh yeah, for sure. But it's in the past, and all I can do is make me the best me.
Are you still mad at the sport? Like, do you still harbor that resentment?
Nah, totally not. No, I gave that up. I gave that up like a long time ago, because I had other stuff to worry about. in the meantime, even though I did get in trouble a lot, and like I was like, hustling this, hustling that, business. I still coach guys throughout this crazy period. So a lot of people have wild stories about me holding pads or doing something, off color. But it's all like, smiling stories these days.
A couple of times you were facing like 20 years in prison, and you always kind of, I don't want to say got lucky, but you got
lucky nothing, bro. No, look, that's part of the system there, Ariel. I'm sure not privy to, where look, they stack the charges against you. So, every little thing you do, that's another year. Oh, it's an enhancement. The California law is that way. I bet that like now they can bargain because this is a 20-year crime for escaping the cops for a minute and then getting caught and then escaping them again and got caught again. That's like 8 felonies right there or something. You know what I mean? An incident that you and I, as MMA fans, would look at as, oh, that was a nice scramble. That's 8 felonies.
I'm just curious, when you were facing these, multiple years in prison, like, were you scared? Were you nervous?
Yeah, but no. Like, I had that reality. It's the same as a fight, right? If you lose a fight, it'll be terrible. But you have to like make sure that you know how to deal with it. And I just figured I'll deal with it when it gets here, the same as a fight. And, of course, it affects you. But, yeah, I really think the MMA has turned the rest of my stressors down.
In the midst of all this, back in 2016, you did take one more fight. You had one other fight outside of the CB Dalloway fight, and you showed up 24 pounds overweight.
28 pounds overweight.
28 pounds overweight for a middleweight title.
It was in my contract. I just paid the money.
What was going on there? Did you just not train?
I just wanted to have fun. Never been to Italy. You know what I mean? I've been to Poland and Russia and Japan and Brazil and Fight Island, but I had never been to Italy, and I just wanted to see a couple of things over there.
You don't have any aspirations of fighting ever again, right?
I don't know, man. All my students are telling me that, oh my goodness, that I'm just like world class right now. So, I don't know. What weight is Nagano?
Ngannou, the heavyweight.
Nah, Nagano. Japanese guy, different guy.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm just kidding, bud. I'm just kidding. I was talking about Nagano.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not
How
fighting
much
that guy.
Weigh?
I'm not fighting that guy. Like 375 pounds.
Okay. What do you miss most about being an active fighter?
Man, well, the simplicity, where you just have to think about what's in front of you. Like I get that in training, but it's different. It's being selfless and as a coach versus being selfish as a fighter, because you kind of just have to like work on your whole game all by yourself. Like, your coaches are helping you obviously, but really it comes down to what efforts you put in, what work you put in.
When were you your happiest as a fighter? Like, what was the high point of your career in your opinion?
I think maybe when I kicked Jacare in the face and like sprayed blood all over the Japanese fans. I think that was the best time. Yeah.
Why?
I'm all covered in blood.
You just enjoyed that.
The referee is telling me, no, because I'm telling him you. Yeah, it was like, you said happiest? Oh, right now, bud.
Can I tell you, maybe my favorite MMA photo of all time involves you. And it was taken by the great Esther Lin.
Esther?
Yes.
Esther.
It was after you submitted Kazushi Sakuraba in September of 2010, and you were bowing over him, and there's a light above. It's almost like his soul is going into the light.
God bless him.
That was a big deal for you, right? That was a big deal for
God,
you.
that was like that's just one of those things where like fine art intersects with pop culture sort of thing, because the skill that it took to like make this perfect shot was just, I don't know. She's just magic, that Esther.
But for you, that was a big deal to fight a Japanese legend in Japan, Sakuraba, one of the all-time greats.
That one specifically, because if you don't remember, like a million years before that, choked out Rampage. And I wasn't Rampage's friend yet. But right after that fight, I literally watched that fight, and then I sparred with Rampage like a week later, like in California. And we started being buddies because of, that first training camp with Tito Ortiz up in Big Bear. And we all it was just a legendary time to be a fighter. We didn't even call it MMA back then, and years later, when I had the opportunity to fight Sakuraba, I said, definitely, oh my goodness, I'm going to get him back for Rampage. But also, I was so inspired by that man, how creative his grappling was, how he would scramble, and you know what I mean, and how he beat all the Gracies, just gutted it out, to me, all that was really inspiring as a fighter. So, the night I beat him, I was very thankful, blessed, so blessed.
Do you still watch MMA?
Yeah. I jumped back in full feet in the past, I don't know, 5 months. I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty stoked about a lot. I don't have my favorites yet, but I'm pretty stoked about the sport. I just got back into it. So I'm a new fan too, everybody.
Mm. So when you were in jail, were you watching it, or were you totally?
Yeah, they had a couple of free ones on there, didn't they? While I was inside, and we did watch them, and and then whenever a big show, big pay-per-view, all the guards would ask me what's my picks, and then they would bet.
No way.
Based on, I'm like, man, this is a damn underground economy right here, and and then I won a pack of ramen noodles off of Tito Ortiz versus Chuck Liddell.
The one recently, the last one?
Yes.
But isn't that for you, was that wild? Here you are watching, talking about this, and you were there. You were fighting at MGM Grand. You were fighting at Saitama.
Yeah, but I made terrible decisions, and society won't stand for it. I don't blame them. I was making terrible decisions. Yeah. I heard about George versus Mike Bisping, and then inside, I was in a dungeon. At that point, a dungeon. They had me in a dungeon, Ariel, a 1960s, all day in a 6-foot box. Because I was I don't know, a jerk to somebody somewhere, and they housed me in this oh my goodness, just a nightmarish place. You'd think the County Monte Cristo was in the basement.
Wow, for how long?
Man, I was there for a while. And then they moved me to a worse basement. So it was months and months and months, bro. 6 months. Wow. Just bars through the, old school bars, a dungeon.
So solitary confinement?
No, it's a segregation, but you could reach out of the bars and hand each other stuff. It was a different kind of segregation. It wasn't I wasn't in the X-Men jail, which I would later go to, where it's a plexiglass wall. I was in the sewer. I don't know what it was, but it was a very dangerous place.
But Jason, in all honesty, for someone who has some kind of mental illness, to be stuck like that's dangerous, right?
This is America. This is America.
But for you, how did you overcome that? How did you get through that? What were you thinking about? What were you doing?
I guess just different coping mechanisms that you deal with. Exercise is a good one. I read and studied a lot. That was the thing, that I got angry and said, I'm going to come out of here so much smarter that it'll be worth it. And maybe I did, maybe I didn't. The jury's still out. But I do know a lot of factoids these days, and, a lot about Mongolian Empire. Definitely Mongolians. And
what did you read about? What did you study?
Well, I learned about China through one called the 1,000-Year Marathon. I remember this. This one was like kind of instrumental because I didn't ever look at China as anything but, you know, where my cup is produced. But yeah, I got more into the geopolitics of the situation, and I understand what they're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and what we're doing wrong, and they're doing right.
Right. And so you just read a lot. And how did you get these books? There's a library there?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I had a lot of support out there from people that, you know, they know who they are. And I appreciate it so much, man. It was amazing because without that, my brain would have turned to mush, you know, because there's not much going on in there. Like, yeah, it was crazy, man. I got so many stories of all those murderers I named you. I don't know why I was over there in that section, but that was the high profile section. And man, there was some interesting characters there, Ariel Helwani. I'll tell you that much.
Were you ever afraid?
Those books saved my life. I was just very, oh man, I even like can read Spanish now. Oh, good Lord. Yeah. I'm not very good at speaking it, but I can understand it now. Like it's pretty, that's a pretty useful skill here in California.
Because you're a pro fighter, did anyone ever try to test you?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Went all right. Went fine.
Okay. Did that happen a lot?
Nah, not after that.
Okay. Not something you want to talk about?
No, it's fine. No.
Okay. Interestingly enough, last Friday was the 10-year anniversary of the Nashville Brawl on CBS. Isn't that crazy?
Awesome! Oh
10
my
years.
God. 10 years ago. Yo, that was a blast. I didn't know what all the hubbub was about. I didn't even know why everyone was angry at me. I was like, hey, man, I thought we're going to do this rematch. And, oh, okay, guess not.
Is that the biggest regret of your career that you never got the Nick
way.
Diaz fight? Not
No
the Brawl,
way.
that you didn't get the Nick Diaz fight.
Oh, yeah, that's garbage. Diaz, and you know what I mean? Here's the thing, though. I think we're both like getting tired of this, but I think that he's got like a young dude that could fight my young dude. I feel like that would be hot, and we're in talks. Somebody's in talks with them right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys are. Have you talked to him?
I feel like that would be a nice one to like. Let's fire back up the rivalry. You know what I mean? 10 years later, let's fire it back up, Nick Diaz. You got any guys? What's up?
Have you ever talked to him recently?
Nah, I haven't talked in a long time. I got wild with them at a damn bar though. I think we buried the hatchet, but I'm ready to dig it back up. I feel like we could have some good shows. This guy, if I know about those dudes up there, they're training hard all the time.
Are you still close with any of your friends, MMA fighter friends from back in the day, or do you have new friends around you now?
Yeah. Matt Horwitz is somewhere around here. I don't know where he'll show back up sometime, but yeah, a lot of the newer guys came in. So I've been friends with like the next generation. You know, I got somebody out there at Conor McGregor's team who's training right now. You know, it's like a new wave, of friends in MMA. But yeah, I feel friendly with most anybody. I don't think I have beef personally with anybody. Maybe like one or two.
Who's that?
I don't know.
Okay, you're just saying like it could be one or two people.
Could be, yeah. Maybe I'm like don't know who I'm talking to.
Right.
Depends. It depends, but I'm pretty sure everybody's pretty cool with Mayhem.
What about your family? Are you still in contact with them?
Yeah. Oh my God, too much sometimes. My mom is sending me so much beautiful little paintings that she done. Like, oh my God, Mom, enough of these paintings, but okay, I love you. Okay, I love this one. Okay, I love this one even more. Never mind. Keep sending the paintings. Never mind.
By the way, who gave you the Mayhem nickname?
Phil Baroni.
The man.
Stuck me with that. Yeah, the NYBA who's still out there like kicking ass. And
what were the circumstances?
What's that? Oh, I think we were watching RoboCop. I could be wrong. I don't remember what movie it was, but I I had just launched into one of my tirades about this, that, and the other. You know how I'm pretty good at complaining. And he just like flopped over on the couch after training. He was like, this guy's mayhem. And I was like, huh? And that was that. You know.
I actually just saw Phil in Albuquerque.
Awesome.
He was staying at the Jackson Wink gym, trying to figure things out. So good to hear that he was the one that gave you. I didn't know if I don't know if I ever knew that story. Now, so you have had situations in the past where you've come out and you've apologized and you said that you're back on track. Why is now different?
Oh,
Why are you?
Man.
You're good to go now.
I don't know if I ever apologized. Nah, I didn't.
So what's different now?
Man, I feel great. MayhemMartialArts.com is taking off. Everything's falling into place like this late, and it's like it's been a wild ride. You know, I'm not gonna lie, and you just alluded to it by reading my rap sheet to America, but I'll tell you this is that, man, I never really looked at older dudes with respect. And now I have such a deep respect for anybody, even 6 months older than me, because like it just takes time to learn things and process and learn how to deal with yourself. And I don't know, I'm on a winning track right now. You know, I'm just, I just feel honored. Like I just feel honored to be Mayhem.
Wow, that's amazing. I have to say, you know, like I said at the top, I really didn't think we'd ever talk again. And this has warmed my heart. I thought we would just, you know, go in separate directions. Honestly, I thought you'd either be maybe in jail and the worst of all, maybe not here, maybe not living, because it was getting scary.
I know. I'm sorry to everybody. Like I apologize to everybody. I did. I went too far. All the time. And I'm sorry for that, Ariel Helwani. I hope we stay in contact, you know, touch base, especially when this thing lets up off of us, right? So that we can break down the next big fight and see who the hell is going to win.
Can you guarantee now that you will stay out of trouble, that you will not be arrested again? No incidents?
Thanks, bud. I appreciate your concern. Yeah, I'll be all right.
Okay.
I mean, I can't promise nothing.
Well,
no, but yeah, I feel great, man. Everything is going good.
I'm happy to hear that. Jason, good to talk to you again, my friend. I wish you the
God
best.
Bless you, brother.
MayhemMartialArts.com
is
where people can see more of what you're doing. You're back on social media, back tweeting, back doing your thing. And I hope that you're able to develop the next young crop of fighters and remind people about, you know, what made you so special as a fighter. Honestly, it's great to talk to you. It's great to see you again, and I really appreciate you doing this, and thanks for bearing with me as we kind of rehash some not so
hey man, I appreciate
memories.
that. I'm just as soon as I could stop talking about the bad part of my life,
I hear you.
So much better.
I hear you. Thanks,
all right,
Jason.
Ariel, love you, man.
Take care.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.